You're in the rant wormhole where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. This rant comes from Duncan Austin, who wants me to rant about the Evangelion franchise, specifically the rebuilds, saying he doesn't like the plebe and the weeb, so he didn't watch the one on Rebuild 3.0. Well, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. I reviewed the movie in that video, so I don't know how to, tell you anything that would be different from if you watched it. Just go watch that video and you'll hear all my thoughts on Eva 3.0. Granted, I also talked about them in response to Mr. Cynical's video, so by now you definitely know my thoughts on Eva 3.0 if you watched that video. But the one ranting about the curse of Evangelion. But in any case, when I watched the rebuilds was back when 2.0 came out. The first one is pretty much just the first 6 episodes of the show, again. It's missing a little bit of detail. It's missing some of Shinji's adventure away in episode 4. I would just say it's, by nature of condensing the story, some stuff is left on the cutting room floor. The ending is more hype. The battle with Ramiel is more hype. But do you really come to Eva for hype? I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth watching both. It's not like having one takes away from the other. Then you've got Eva 2.0, and at the time, I really loved it. I thought it was a really interesting way of reimagining the bulk of the show, because Anno had sort of talked about how the point of doing the rebuilds was that he felt as though he wanted to sort of re-explain these ideas to a new generation. That, perhaps the original Eva was not clear enough, or that not enough people understood it in a deeper way, or that it wasn't just well communicated enough. So he wanted to try to tell the story again in a way that would resonate with a modern audience. I don't know how much of that is just corporate speak for I want to make Eva because it makes a lot of money, but the second movie changes things pretty radically, and you could make the argument that it's just a less interesting or less nuanced version of the same story, and I would agree. It inherently loses out on a lot of the properties that something has by just virtue of having the time and space, by being just... I think Hideaki Anno is a better director for this story than Kazuya Tsurumaki is, who I think is really the main director of the rebuild, since it feels like his style. You come away with something that feels more like you're watching Fooly Cooly than Eva, with the badass moments and the real cathartic visuals that Anno was never known for. Anno's visuals are restrained and orderly and more about the beauty of individual shots and what they communicate, more so than making something badass and fun, And then a lot of people like to look at it and say, well, the point of number 2 was that it was this big cathartic, badass moment, and then you get to the third movie and that, subverts all of that. And sure, that probably was the point, but it doesn't resonate with me by doing it that way. It doesn't feel like a naturally evolving story. If you watch the original show, there was no moment where it had to subvert everything that came before and go, ooh, it was actually about this. It's the story just naturally evolves. The characters progress in a way that makes sense, and you feel it from the way the story is told. It's not beating you over the head with the point. And if that was what Anno was going for, because not enough people understood the original, then great. Maybe more people will get it now. But it was a clumsy way of doing it. And a lot of people paint it as though the second movie radically went against the grain of what Eva was like, and I didn't feel that way. It just kind of felt like certain scenes were more hype focused, but it didn't feel to me like, wow, this has fundamentally altered the entire story. It's not as though the actions taken are radically different from the actions taken in the original. It's just that the presentation is different. It's just that it's more extreme, more intense, and in many ways not as good. But it's a different story in a way. It's the way it handles the relationships between Asuka, Shinji, and Rei is the biggest difference. Where they are a little bit more of waifus, and that's, it has its pros and cons, Makinami Mary is kind of just a meme character who's just there to have a new toy to sell, I think, but she's fun. Like, I don't know. I don't begrudge the movie for being a fun time. I think it's fine to have a fun movie. It doesn't negate the existence of the original Eva. And maybe that's why I find the third movie so annoying, because it feels like it's trying to say, oh, you liked that? You liked that catharsis? Well, ooh, we subverted everything. And it's like, well, that's not clever. You just made a shitty movie that feels completely disconnected from what came before it. And like it exists solely for the purpose of making that element of the message clear, which is not the intrigue of Evangelion. You know, it's nice that that's a point that Anno feels the need to hammer home, and it's not like I disagree with the message per se. It's just like I like Eva because it's a good story, first and foremost. So, yeah. I kind of already talked about that with the Mr. Cynical video, though. So, there's my thoughts on the rebuilds. Obviously, I love Eva. I have a billion videos about it, and I never shut up about how much I love it. So, yeah. Check all that out. And watch the goddamn Plebe and the Weeb. It's a good show. Put a lot of fucking effort into that shit. See you next time.